Oh, folks. Oh my God. Can you believe the shit that just hit today? Okay. This is take 2 of this video, by the way. All kinds of shit happened. So it's November 1st, and for those of you that have been with me this whole time, you guys know that I participate in NaNoWriMo. So today is the starting day of NaNoWriMo. And for those of you that don't know what that is, that's National Novel Writing Month. You've got 30 days to complete a 50,000 word manuscript. This is an international writing competition. And this is my 4th year competing and hopefully 3rd year winning. So, yeah, really busy. But anyways, I have a chest cold. So if I cough, don't bust my ass. Anyways, so a little birdie this morning got a hold of me. Thank you, darling. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I'm just going to say a little birdie got a hold of me and told me to keep my eye out for an addendum to Kathleen Zellner's October 23rd motion. And it fucking hit like a bomb. Oh my God. Can you guys believe this? I know that all of you are like already pawing through it, but okay, so essentially, what seems to be happening right now is Kathleen Zellner seems to be calling bullshit on Scott and Bobby and their obvious lying during the course of the investigation and the trial. Now, I would like to add a little preface. I have been all through this case file. I've looked at it every which way. I still can't find a means, motive, or opportunity for Scott and Bobby to have had anything to do with Teresa Halbach's death. Just because I can't find it doesn't mean it's not there. I just can't find it. So that's part of why I've kind of laid off of them for a little bit, is because I'm like, I'm going to focus more on who killed her rather than, on who lied. And lie they did. Let's not make any fucking mistake here. They lied their asses off. I don't understand why. I have a feeling that it has to do with money, but that's just me. So anyways, so Zellner is pointing out where they've lied, and that the lying alone should constitute a new trial for Stephen Avery at the very least, because a good portion of his conviction rested on Bobby saying that he saw Teresa Halbach walking towards Stephen Avery's trailer on the day of her disappearance. I say the day of her disappearance and not the day of her murder because we don't actually know when she died. All we know is that she was not seen beyond October 31st that we're aware of. So, let's start going through this. We're going to start at page 2, and again, link below, you know me. As Undersigned's counsel investigation remains ongoing, additional new evidence continues to develop demonstrating that Bobby and Mr. Taddick meet the legitimate tendency test established by Denny. In summary, this evidence consists of 1. Brand new admissions from Barb Taddick and Mr. Taddick that they were aware that Miss Halbach left the Avery property prior to her disappearance. Let me restate that in case you missed it. Barb and Mr. Taddick were aware that Miss Halbach left the Avery property prior to her disappearance. And 2, an affidavit from Barb's stepson, Brad, that Barb tried to remove relevant and probative evidence from the Dassey computer before it was seized by police on April 21st, 2006. Now, let's just pause for a moment. Pause, bit of a timeout for this. And let's talk about that, okay? Barb removed or attempted to remove probative evidence from her home computer, which was seized by police on April 21st of 2006. Now, the obvious thing is that Barb tried to remove evidence from the computer. That's obvious, and y'all can do whatever the fuck you want with that. My issue are these two things. Number one, Barb knew that they were going to seize her computer. How? How did she know that? Is point number one. How did she know that they were going to file a warrant for her computer? And in addition, little asterisk there, why? And where's the warrant? I haven't seen a warrant for Barb's home computer. Have you? Because I haven't. This is news to me. Otherwise, I'd have been on that thing like fucking Ken Kratz on a abuse victim's ass. That's point number one. Point number two. Why were the cops looking into Barb's computer in the first place? What probable cause did they have for searching that? According to the prosecution, Brendan Dassey was complicit in the murder. This is according to the prosecution. Allegedly, Brendan Dassey was an accessory. He didn't plan it. He didn't any of that shit. So I have not seen a fucking thing in that case file that would denote needing to search the home computer for any information that would regard this case with regards to Brendan Dassey. So what the fuck were the cops doing searching Barb's computer in the first place? That's where my attention is. We can look at all the shit that Barb was trying to erase and yada yada, but that's obvious. My question is, why did the police feel the need to look at the computer in the first fucking place? But that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. It's been known to happen. Not often, but it's been known to happen. Okay, so that's the question I want you to ask yourself as we go through this. Minimizing again. Let's scroll down to page 3. Barb and Mr. Taddick have recently made admissions that Ms. Halbach left the Avery property before her disappearance. After Mr. Avery's motion for reconsideration was filed on October 23rd, 2017, he made a prepaid collect call to Barb on October 24th, 2017. The call was recorded by the Walpen Correctional Center. A copy of the call and transcript of the recording is attached and incorporated. Now, here's my thing. Let's pause on this again. Time out. Barb, now, as I've stated before, I'm not here for anybody in the Avery family besides Brendan, Stephen, and Ma and Pa Avery. That's it. Beyond that, I could give a fuck about the rest of them. And the reason is because thinking like a lawyer, those first two are the people at the core of this. Okay? Beyond that, nobody else fucking matters. It's fair game. All's fair in love and war. Now, here's what you have to ask yourself. Barb knew that calls were recorded at the prisons. She knew this because in the 10-episode documentary, Making a Murderer, several of her phone calls with Brendan and Stephen were played in that documentary. So already we've established that she should be aware that these calls are recorded. Why the fuck would you have the conversation that you had with your brother on October 24th in prison and you know that the calls are being recorded? That don't make no kind of sense to me, folks. It just don't. It just don't. Let's continue. Time in. Do what I'm telling you to do. During the recorded call, Mr. Avery and Barb discussed the new evidence cited in Mr. Avery's motion for reconsideration connecting Bobby and Mr. Taddick to Ms. Halbach's murder. With regard to the disturbing internet searches and pornographic images found on the computer used by Bobby, Barb stated as follows. Stephen Avery says, why is all that shit on the computer? Barb says, there was nothing on my fucking computer. All this, I didn't even have fucking internet back then. Stephen replies, yes, you did. Barb says, no, you didn't. No, I didn't. Stephen replies, what do you mean you didn't? Barb said, I did not have internet, and on and on and on. It's a back and forth of no, I didn't, yes, you did, no, I didn't, yes, you did. Now, here's my issue with that. Time out. I'm not sure how many of you know this, but I'm currently in college finishing up my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. My actual major is criminal justice with an emphasis on crime and criminal behavior, and my minor is in digital forensic technology. Okay? How the fuck do you not know that you can't just say, no, I didn't have internet access at that time, and think that this will all just go away? There are ways to prove that you had internet access at that time, Barbara. Starting with the account itself. It's very easy for an attorney to get those records, number one. Number two, your hard drive, logs, all of that. All of it. And a factory reset will not undo that. It's all saved on the hard drive, honey. All of it. So it's really easy to prove that she did, in fact, have internet access at that time. End of story. Time in. Scrolling down to page 4, Barb's vehement denial that her computer had access to the internet at this time of Miss Halbach's disappearance is probative because it is unequivocally false. As cited in Mr. Avery's motion for reconsideration, a forensic examination of Barb's computer by forensic computer expert Gary Hunt shows that the computer was used to access violent images, blah, blah, blah. Barb's denial is especially telling given that she took steps to delete the disturbing images before police seized her computer on April 21st, 2006. This is additional new evidence that supports Mr. Avery's claim that the recovered images on the Dassey computer implicate Bobby in Ms. Halbach's murder. Even more important, however, are admissions from Barb and Mr. Taddick that Ms. Halbach left the Avery property from before her murder, specifically regarding Bobby's statements that he observed Ms. Halbach leave. The following conversation occurred. Stephen said, Bobby's home. Barb says he wasn't always home. Steve says, well, most of the time he was home. Barb says, no. Scott, in the background, he doesn't know fucking shit. Stephen says, and he said she left. Teresa left. Scott yells out, that's right. Barb says, yeah, she left. Stephen Avery says, yeah. Barb says, yeah. And Stephen says, well, he didn't testify for that. Now, that's absolutely unequivocally true, kids. Bobby stated at trial, I watched her go to Stephen's trailer. Okay? Now, Barb and Scott are saying, no, he saw her leave. So obviously that's a problem. Jesus, come on. It's not that fucking difficult. But the even more telling thing for me is the little footnote at the bottom of this page, bottom of page 4. Mr. Taddick participated in the recorded call and can be overheard threatening Mr. Avery on multiple occasions, including his threat, I'll put you in the fucking ground. Really, Scott? You'll put him in the fucking ground? Something tells me that your ass is going to be there first. All right, now here's what you guys have to understand. And there's a transcript of this whole call at the end of this motion. And I'm not going to go through the whole fucking thing with you. You can do that your own damn self. Here's the thing. Scott's behavior during this entire phone call. Picture this. Now, understand this about me real quick. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. Previous husband. And Scott's entire demeanor throughout this call is classic abusive behavior. Classic. He's got all the earmarks of an abuser. He is quick to anger. He's very narcissistic. He's extremely manipulative. You know, when you first, and I've been told stories about, you know, people that have met him. When you first meet him, you know, he comes across as this really charming, you know, just regular guy. And then you start talking to him and you realize, holy shit. And that's classic for a narcissist. And a good portion of abusers are narcissists. The fact that throughout the course of this call, Barb states on several occasions, you're going to have a dead sister. Why would you say that, Barb? And why do you think it fucking matters? Scott is in the background on this call, just yelling out abusive shit towards Steven. The reason he's doing this is because he's realized that he's losing control of the situation. If he ever even fucking had it. Chances are he just had the illusion of control at this point. But now he's being confronted with the fact that he doesn't have control over this situation at all. And he's regressing. In psychological terms, when you're talking about serial killers, this stage would be called a deceleration. And the deceleration happens before the big kaboom. Okay? Scott is losing it. If he ever had it. So there's that issue right there. You're going to put him in the fucking ground? Why would you even say that? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? I'm really baffled right now about all of this. I'm very much baffled. Let's keep moving through, though. Let's see. Got my handwritten notes here. Page 5. Barb and Mr. Taddock's admissions are crucial to Mr. Avery's defense because the most important eyewitness for the state was Bobby, who testified that Ms. Halbach was still on the Avery property and that he saw Ms. Halbach approaching Avery's trailer when he left. Bobby made statements to his brother Brian that impeached Bobby's trial testimony and established that, in fact, he had observed Ms. Halbach leave the Avery property before he left. Now, in addition to the impeachment offered by Brian, Barb, in the October 24th, 2017 phone call, admitted that she knew that Ms. Halbach had left the property. Barb, in response to Mr. Avery saying that Bobby had said Ms. Halbach left, responded, yeah, she left. Number 2, Barb's statements on Facebook on October 30th, 2017 directly contradict Bobby's trial testimony. At trial, Bobby testified as follows with regards to actions after Ms. Halbach took pictures of his mother's van. Before he got in the shower, she actually started walking over to Steven's trailer. On October 30th, 2017, Barb posted statements using her Facebook account that further impeached Bobby's trial testimony. Specifically, Barb stated, just got off the phone with Bobby and I asked him and he told me that he's seen her pull in, but that was it because he left to go hunting then. He said that is the truth. We're now moving on to page 6. Cindy Stauffer Johnny replied, so he never seen her walk towards Steven's home. Barb replied, no. See Barb's comments on Facebook, attached and incorporated herein as Exhibit 5. Now, kids, let me explain something to you. Anything you put on the internet in writing can be used in court as evidence. Screenshots are incorporated in this motion of Barb's comments. And that can and will be used as evidence. It is perfectly legal. There is no need for a signature, a notary. Nothing special needs to be done. If it's on the internet, it can be used in court. End of fucking story. So think before you post. Just saying. Number 3, the state's theory that Mr. Avery initiated the appointment with Ms. Halbach on October 31st, 2005 is refuted by Brian's affidavit and the corroborating statements by his brothers Blaine and Brendan. Brian's statement in his affidavit about Barb setting up the October 31st, 2005 appointment with Ms. Halbach is corroborated by his brother Blaine, who told the authorities in an interview on November 7th, 2005, it was Barb who made the arrangements to have the photo of the car taken. This would make sense. This would make sense with regards to what Kenny Boy said about Stephen Avery saying, send the same girl you sent last time. Teresa Halbach had quite a few dealings with Mr. Avery over the course of a year prior to her disappearance. So Stephen would know that he didn't need to say, send the same girl that you sent last time. Because he'd been dealing with her for quite some time. She's always the one who showed up. However, if Barb placed the call, she wouldn't know that. So she would have said something along the lines of, send the girl that you sent last time. It would also explain why the call was taken from Barb Janda's phone number and why the name on the ticket was B. Janda. And in that instance, Barb knew good and fucking well that she made that call. And she's been sitting on that information this whole time because this is the first I've heard of it. Police reports reflecting interviews of Brendan, Blaine, and Barb attached and incorporated herein. Brian's statement is also corroborated by his brother, Brendan, who told the authorities in an interview on November 10th that he knew about the Auto Trader photographer because a few days before this, his mom told him she was coming to take photos of the van. So Barb knew. Similarly, Mr. Taddock responded to Mr. Avery's rendition of Bobby's statement that Ms. Halbach left in the phone call by stating that's right. Mr. Taddock's response indicates either that Bobby had told him that Bobby observed Ms. Halbach leave the property, or Mr. Taddock's response indicates that he, Mr. Taddock, observed and or had contact with Ms. Halbach after she left the property. We're now on page 7. Number 4. Mr. Avery has discovered new evidence that Barb attempted to remove evidence from her computer before it was seized by police on April 21st. Police believe that Barb's computer would contain evidence relevant to Ms. Halbach's disappearance and murder. See affidavit for search warrant incorporated and attached herein as Exhibit 2. Mr. Avery has discovered new evidence that Barb hired a person to make deletions of incriminating evidence prior to the computer being seized by the police on April 21st. Mr. Avery has attached to the supplement the affidavit of Brad Dassey. Brad is the half-brother of Brian, Bobby, Blaine, and Brendan, and Barb's stepson. Brad avers that he had a conversation with Barb during a trip to visit Brendan at the Sheboygan County Jail. Barb stated that she had hired someone to reformat her home computer and that she wanted to know if reformatting would remove what was on the computer. Barb stated that she had the reformatting done shortly before the authorities seized her computer. During her conversation with Brad, Barb admitted that she did not want anyone to see what was on her computer. Why, Barb? Why? What could possibly be on there that would be a bad thing? Brad further states that he contacted the authorities after this conversation, and basically they didn't follow up with it. Now, let's continue down. I want to go to, and like I said, guys, this is, this is a long motion. This is a long amendment. It's 49 pages. I'm not reading you the whole fucking thing. However, let's hold on. I think I just spotted something. I'm going to pause this real quick. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to have to do a separate video on that because I'm not seeing anything. But anyways, I would like to move on to the phone conversation, the transcript about, on October 24th. Because there's some shit in there that needs to be said. So let's look at it, okay? Minimize that. All right, so Avery calls. Barb tells him what the fuck is going on. Steven says, what's going on? Barb says, yeah, and Steven says, where? Barb says, what do you mean where? Why is she starting up with Scott and Bobby again? Okay, time out. First of all, Barb, you need to understand something. And this is just in general, but Barb specifically. Kathleen Zellner does not work for you. I don't know how many times I have to fucking say this. Kathleen Zellner does not work for your family. She doesn't even work for your parents. She works for Steven. And her job is to overturn the conviction of Steven. And just in case you're wondering, Steven and Brendan's cases are linked. If Kathleen Zellner can prove to the court that Steven Avery had nothing to do with this, that's only going to help Brendan get out that much quicker, okay? So it is her job to prove her client innocent. It's not her job to prove her client innocent while not showing where your husband and your son had anything to do with Steven being incarcerated wrongly for the past 12 years. That's not her job. Your feelings don't matter. Scott's feelings don't matter. Bobby's feelings don't matter. They don't. They just don't. I'm sorry if that pisses you off, but it's fact. Okay? Let's keep going through this. She's not starting up shit with anybody. She's proving her case. She's doing her job. Time in. So then we're scrolling further down and, this is page 14. Steven tells her, you weren't with him all day. She says, I was with him from 5 o'clock on. And plus he was in the hospital with his mother for most of the day, so you tell me. Steven says, well, and Barb says, well, nothing. And Steven says, I don't know about that either because he was. Barb said, yes, he was. Steven says, well, they got the records of the hospital and everything. Barb says, what's that going to do? He was up there seeing his mom. Steven says, everything is recorded there anyway. And Barb says, no, it's not. First of all, Barb and everybody, yes, it is all recorded. Hospitals have cameras. Not only that, but they have to log things. And then on top of that, there were other people there. Scott's family members. And I'm going to reveal something to all of you that I've never revealed to anybody before. About a year and a half ago, I actually spoke with somebody who was at the hospital that day. And they told me that Scott wasn't there before he showed up with Barb. I'm not going to release who it was because I don't have any corroborating evidence. That's part of why I've never said anything to anybody is I didn't have any corroborating evidence. I didn't have hospital records or anything that could say that that was the absolute truth. That's why I never said anything. But if Zellner has the records, she knows. And I can tell you, Scott wasn't there before he took Barb. And that's that. Let's keep going. Down now to the next page. Barb says, so you're actually thinking Scott did this? Steven says, well, don't ask me. I don't know who did it. I know I didn't. Barb says, well, neither did he, and neither did Bobby, so she better get it right out of her fucking mind because I called that bitch today. Okay, first of all, Barb, no. She better not get nothing out of her mind. If there is absolute unequivocal proof that Bobby and Scott did not have anything to do with Teresa Halbach's murder or disappearance, she'll find it. But she's not going to put it out of her mind. How many fucking murder investigations would not be solved if they just put it out of their mind because I said so? That's not how this works. You have to have evidence that says that what you're saying is the truth. That's how this works. Don't mind them. I went and picked up my daughter, my youngest daughter, and so now her and her brother are in there fighting over who gets to watch what. She doesn't have to put anything out of her mind. And calling her a bitch, yeah, that's real fucking classy. And I called and left her a message. Yeah, because she's really going to take that. We give her information, and this is what she turns around and does. And Steven tells her she's been doing this for quite a while already. Barb says, yeah, so she's going to try to ruin a happy family. He's got 2 kids that he's got to worry about now. Yeah, so what? So fucking what? I'm sorry if Bobby has 2 kids that he has to worry about now, Barb. The fact is that he lied on the stand. And you know what? Brendan could have children right now if he wasn't sitting in prison because his brother lied. And it's really interesting to see where your priorities lie. That's some bullshit right there. That's all I gotta say on that one. And then we get down to the stuff about the computer and blah, blah, blah. I'm scrolling through right now, guys, so let's see. Then we get Scott coming in, and he proceeds to start long about, let's see, what page is this? Page 19. Scott starts with I want to talk to him. I want to talk to him. I want to talk to him. Well, here's the thing, kids. That's typical of an abuser. He's trying to control the situation. And he's wanting to talk to Steven because he's wanting to threaten Steven. Guess what, Scott? None of your threats are going to work on anybody anymore. They may work on Barb, but they're not going to work on Steven, and they're sure as fuck not going to work on Zellner. Nobody gives a shit. I hate to tell you this, buddy, but you are a really tiny fucking amoeba in a very big pond. And your attempts to control this situation are going right out the fucking window. So here's my advice to you, because I'm done reading this shit. Y'all can get to the link down below. You can click it. You can read it your damn self. Here's my thing. Listen to me now and believe me later. Scott, Barb, Avery family. The fact is there is evidence that Scott and Bobby lied. That's it. They lied. I don't know if they had anything to do with Teresa's disappearance and murder or not. I don't know. What I do know is that that's the way it's going to fucking look until they find evidence to the contrary. So if they had nothing to do with Teresa's murder, here's a thought. Go to Kathleen Zellner and tell her that. And tell her the truth. And tell her why you lied in the first damn place. That is your best protection right now. Is to go to Kathleen Zellner and tell her, Scott, sit down and tell her, yes, I lied because of blah, blah, blah. This is the truth. This is the whole truth. Here are witnesses to corroborate. Here's receipts or whatever the fuck. This is why I lied. This is what I was really doing. Blah, blah, blah. That is what you need to do, Scott. Bobby, same thing with you. You need to go to Kathleen Zellner and tell her, yes, I did look at those things on the computer. This is why I looked at those things on computer, but no, I've never done anything like that, blah, blah. Or I saw Teresa, I thought she was really pretty, and I was, I was looking up her Facebook because I wanted to ask her out. Or any, whatever your fucking reason was. But do it and tell the truth. Because until you do, it looks like you killed her. That's how it's presenting. I'm not saying this to be a bitch. You can call me that if you like. I don't care. I'm saying it because it's the truth. If you had nothing to do with Teresa's murder, fine. Fine. Go to Zellner and tell her the fucking truth and tell her the whole truth. Tell her why you lied and give her proof of what you were doing, where you were, blah, 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 and lay the cards out all on the table. Because then and only then will all this shit go away. Okay? We already think you're scuzz buckets. It couldn't possibly get any worse from here. And what the fuck do you care what we think of you anyway? When are you ever going to meet us? What does it matter? That's why I crack up at guilters fucking calling me names. I'm like, okay, when am I ever going to meet you? When is that ever going to matter? When is that ever going to impact my life? It's not. So I don't give a shit. The fact is that until you go forward and do something about this and tell Kathleen Zellner the whole truth, everything, people are going to focus in on you as the murderers of Teresa Halbach. Now, Barb, I'm talking to you. Firstly, remember from here on out that all phone conversations in prisons are recorded. Only the lawyers can call their clients without it being recorded. You're not a lawyer. Steven's not your client. Brendan's not your client. Ergo, your phone calls are being recorded. So you might want to think before you speak from here on out. Number 2, stop posting on social media. Stop talking. You're going to hurt yourself. And number 3, Barb, look at me. Barb, I'm saying this to you in the most loving possible spirit that you could ever know. Scott does not deserve you. Scott does not deserve you. You deserve someone who loves you. You deserve someone who's not going to lie to you. And you deserve someone who's not going to make you feel so small and so insignificant. You deserve to smile and enjoy that smile and not be thinking in the back of your mind, when is it going to go bad? You deserve to enjoy the good times without wondering when that good time is going to come to an end and the bad times are going to start again. You deserve honesty and trust. And you deserve to have a phone conversation with anybody without your husband in the background talking shit. You deserve to be out in the world and not be embarrassed. Not even be worried about having to be embarrassed. You deserve life. And let me tell you something, honey. I know you've been through relationships, probably bad ones. But let me tell you this. It's okay to be alone. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved being single. You really can enjoy being alone. And you know what? When you've been single for a while and you really learn to love it, you learn to love to wake up in the morning by yourself and know that your whole day is only about you and what you choose to focus your energy on. That you can have for breakfast whatever you want without having to take somebody else's wants into consideration. When you can go to a movie and not have to worry about not getting to see what you want to watch just because your husband or your boyfriend doesn't want to watch that with you. When you truly get to enjoy being single, only then will you get a man, a committed relationship that deserves you, because they got to be one hell of a motherfucker for you to even consider giving up all of that. And let me tell you something. Given the choice between what you're going through now and alone, I would choose alone every fucking time. You deserve more, and it's okay to walk away when you're hurting. It's okay to cut toxic people out of your life. You don't owe anybody anything except yourself. That's it. You're the only one you have to answer to. And to the end of your life, don't you want reality? Think about it. And if you need help, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you. That's all I gotta say, honey. You're not alone, no matter what he tries to tell you. You are not alone, and you are much stronger than you give yourself credit for. Just know that. Because how weak could you be putting up with that shit? Come on. For 12 years? Jesus. Mine didn't make it past 2. But then again, I'm a bitch. All right, kids, so I'm going to leave the link for this document down below in the description. I'll probably do a few more videos on it because Jesus Christ. Don't forget to subscribe to me here on YouTube. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Mama Phoenix 6. And if you boogie on over to the About page here on my channel, you'll find everything from my Pinterest boards to my Facebook fan page. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.